Thank you, Ken, for that. The rights for members who would like to be part, or individuals, Kenyans, like to be part of political parties, and also how, in fact, one can be expelled and some of the rules governing that. So, indeed, these are constitutional standards we've seen in as far as how political parties are regulated in this country, and even have an oversight and governance in the Registrar Office of the Registrar of Political Parties. So, to talk more about this party hopping season, the season of defections is here. I have with me, as I mentioned earlier, Johnson Sakaja, who is the Nairobi Senator. Thank you for joining us, Super Senator.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Kabisa.
Your first time here on Kivumbi 2022.
Yes.
And perhaps for you, you started out as chairman, TNA, then that collapsed into Jubilee.
Yes.
And now, I'm sure I'll be right to say ANC is where you are headed.
No, I'm in Jubilee.
Yes.
And I've said it publicly.
Yes.
That the party, I've never been a member of any other party. In fact, Jubilee is by virtue of TNA, because TNA got into Jubilee.
Yeah.
That's a party of which I'm a member. Of course, the party is considering partnering with many different people. I think it's for us to wait and see who Jubilee then partners with. Yeah. Then decisions will be made. As you said, it's a season where people are going to make decisions based on the different political aspirations, their regions, where they're coming from, where they're vying. And those decisions will be made by that time.
But for all intents and purposes, Senator, some of the rules governing these political parties is that when you are promoting the ideals of another party, then in essence you're deemed to have left that party. Wouldn't it be fair in your case, and I'm sorry I'm starting on your part, we'll talk about the larger conversation, but on your part, you have been with the party leader, ANC, you have been talking the same language, so you would be, by dint of this, be seen to have decamped.
What are the ideals of a party that is different from ours? Because if you're promoting the ideals of a different party that are opposed to your party, then that's when you're doing something wrong. So what are those ideals that are promoted that are apart from Jubilee?
Is it a different or just of a different party? Not different ideals. It's a different party. It's a different entity.
If you promote ideals of a different party and the ideals are the same as your party, are you deemed to have left? No, I mean, those are the words you've used. Because Jubilee, in fact, I together with the team, the team we had of strategy, I was leading that team, and we came up with the slogan, Tuko Pamoja. What we believe in is unity, coming together. That's why you said Tuhamwe, Wankanyakla, Kurialala, all across the country. Yeah. My party, as of now, has no presidential aspirant. I don't know if you've heard anyone vying for presidency under Jubilee. And so, in as much as Jubilee has been in the season of talking with other parties, we've had them proposing a merger with ODM, etc. I felt it's good also for me to say, look, one of the people I believe holds those ideals is Musalia Mudavadi. Right. But everywhere I've gone, including during Oka meetings, I've said I am here as Jubilee. I have no intentions of leaving my party until certain decisions are made within the party that will make me then make a choice as to which party then I would go to if I have to move.
And talking about just this leaving one party to the other, from where you sit, what is the biggest driver of that? Is it just pure looking out for self-interest in terms of the political class? Or do you believe, are convinced that there could be some bigger ideology, bigger picture when you see these kind of things happen?
Unfortunately, in our country, you see, there are people who look at a party as a home, as a house, as a home where you develop an ideology, you make sure every room is clean, every room has certain people in it. And the parties today, if you ask me, who is the treasurer of ODM, for instance, in Lainisaba in Kibera, I'll tell you, because they see it as a home. Other parties see themselves as vehicles, that once we've reached our destination, it's like an Uber, you got in there, it's over, you don't remember the number plate, and it's done. Yeah. And that's the emptiness of our politics. So a lot of the decisions, because if you ask me today, the chair of Jubilee Nairobi, I don't know who it is. Yet I was a national chair of a party. Wow. Because it doesn't focus. Yet other people who are more pragmatic will say, okay, they major on the minor things, on who is the sub-treasurer of where, but they don't end up then delivering. And Jubilee has been pragmatic enough to do whatever it takes to win an election. Yeah. So, I mean, the jury is out there. But I think even moving away from the individuals, the future of this country would be solid if the political future of this country has parties based on ideology. Yeah. And I was asking you which ideals are different. Today, all the parties we have are talking about the same thing. They're talking about the common person. They're talking about how to deal with the economy, about debt, about alleviating people from poverty. We have not reached a place where you can say for certain that this party stands for this and this other party stands for the different thing. So the decisions people are going to make will just be very politically pragmatic decisions of in which party, one, am I welcome? Two, do I have better chances of winning my seat? And three, will I be comfortable being a member of that party? That is all. There is no one who will make a move based on, I believe in social democracy, so I'm going to this party. Or I believe in devolution. All parties, you know, and Tony Blair writes about it in his book, that the days of the black and white, you know, divide of the liberal and the conservative or the Labour, or what you have the Republicans and Democrats, in a third world country like ours are long gone because it's about efficacy. We all know the problem. You know, we look at Nairobi, you know, we need water, we need a transport system, healthcare. The problem is the same. So we look at efficacy. So who or which party then has a more compelling idea of how to deal with the problems we all agree on. So you'll not find a huge ideological divide. Not now and not in years to come. I
mean, the big picture, as you say, rightfully, right now everyone is focused on the economy in one way or the other. However, in terms of what are the priority areas, because that's a huge space, you're seeing the differences of Kalonzo talking about 24-hour economy. He's yet to be very clear about how he's going to achieve that. Mudavadi is talking about debt reduction as well as taxes. You have the likes of the former Prime Minister talking about this cushioning of 6,000 shillings. So there's that priority. So, you know, this person will come in and focus on this. But the thing is, this party hopping and the political parties in discipline is largely then driven by it. There isn't that real founding and grounding, if you like, of these individuals across board. It's not one side. We tried to do it, you know, with TNA, and I think we're making progress because in between elections, what the party does is what defines the party, not at the election. In between elections, we had midterm reviews for our governors. We'd say, look, these are the manifesto you went on, these are the TNA manifesto, how well are you doing? We'd score them. We did trainings all across for youth, you know, for women, and try to, you know, create an ideological standpoint where you could be able to distinguish that if there's a governor elected on this party, this is how he'll address devolution, this is how he'll address, you know, finance issues, etc. That has not been done, unfortunately. So I'm telling you, Sophia, this is transfer season. You're going to see a lot of changes. I think we've seen a few recently. People are waiting for maybe, you know, because by February you need to be in a party. So between December and January, there'll be a lot of movement. And then after that, after the primaries, many people will go on to become independent. Now what we have today is that the Political Parties Act was amended to try and stop that because it was convenient then for the political party leaders. But now it is not, and I know a lot of changes are being proposed to be brought, changes of the law, including admitting what we call corporate sponsorship. Because you're trying to create coalitions and say, okay, my party can be a member of this party, as it was before, with NAC and with PNU. Can we see the all members of PNU as a corporate entity? So those changes will happen. It's sad that the last person who's being thought about is the voter. And the Kenyan person, because now it is about, you know, survival and making sure you get your seat. Because either survival or suicide, as some were referencing this recent move by the governor Kirinyaga County. But I wonder this Jubilee situation with UDA, because when you interview and speak to any of those guys in UDA, the folks there, they'll say, oh, but you know, there's this partnership. So in essence, I am still in Jubilee. There's nothing wrong. Is that your understanding of this, that they have not crossed that red line in that they're advocating or propagating the policies or championing for UDA as a party, that this is just like a coalition?
They're very smart. They picked a party that was within Jubilee. PDP, where we have the deputy leader of majority in the Senate, Senator Dulo, who was the first elected member in that party. So really, if you look at the law per se, they have not done anything wrong. And people will always find roots. However, I'm sure in February, thereabout, you'll see mass defection of those members from Jubilee and say, okay, I've left this as a party and joined this other party, in as much as we have a pre-election coalition. So what we have, I think, is a post-election coalition agreement with PDP, if I'm not wrong. And it allows them then to move. So, I mean, people, you have to be smart. You have to make a move.
But then that speaks to, is it, in your case, from where you said that there's some gaps in law, or is it that we're just going against what...
You see, the law, the more a country has laws,
the
more you know it has problems.
Yes, messed up.
Because we are trying to tie people to parties that believe in nothing, stand for nothing. And I think the Register of Political Parties has probably done a very poor job. In the last few years, that office has not ensured, one, parties are spending their money on political building political institutions. It's been billions, you know, as opposed to when we were running parties, it was very little money then. But now it's in billions. What activities have you seen these parties doing, apart from campaigning, you know? What leadership academies have you seen in these parties? You know, what is going on in the grassroots? Where is that money going to? And we need an audit of these big parties in terms of that have been receiving this money. Because the reason why the Political Parties Fund was brought in was so that we divorce the individual from the party, that this party is not a party fashioned in the image of the party leader because he's funding it, but because it's being funded by Kenyans. That's why you have parties like ANC in South Africa, where they could even they can expel their leader.
President.
You know, they can expel a president because the individual does not own the party. Today, if the Right Honorable Raila Odinga moves from ODM and goes to UDA, they'll all move. They'll say, in fact, this is what we really wanted. We believe in that position. If the deputy president moves to ODM, they'll say, in fact, that's what we've been waiting for. You know, so that's the emptiness. And I hope in our generation, we'll be able to see a change and a move from that to real issues.
Yeah, and so these proposals around the political parties and the governance of that space, then that would claw back what was intended, why we even have an Register of Political Parties, that office. It'll,
and it's unfortunate, I'm just being real with you, but that's what's coming. You will be covering it here.
So we're just accepting, we're this kind of people. Indiscipline is the order of the day, so let's just own it.
It is group survival. So everybody says, look, I think we all need to have a window after the primaries or before the primaries, or even if we're bringing our parties together. So there's one school of thought that wants many parties to come together to form a grand coalition, and there's another school of thought that wants to have loose arrangements. They will negotiate in Parliament, and you might find that as a law. The question is, what is the best thing for our country moving forward? Why do we lock people into parties that actually really stand for nothing? We have, I mean, Ken has given us a list, I think almost 97 parties. Do you have 97 different ideologies in this country? Do you have 97 different ways of looking at healthcare, you know, or looking at public transport? No. So all these parties, many are briefcase parties, and people don't shut down their parties because they know towards the election you want nomination fees from aspirants. So it's really business, and it's terrible. I think we're in a bad place. We need to, and those of us who believe in institutionalizing our politics, need to take a stand and say, look, let us create parties that stand for something.
For something. 75 fully registered political parties from the data Ken was sharing.
10 in progress.
And 10 in progress. I mean, we're going to, and remember still, there's the independent folks, the candidates after that. So the Register of Political Parties urged all parties to hold primaries in one day. This was a proposal she made, saying that this would minimize these defections. What do you make of that proposal?
It's impractical. Because parties hold their nominations in polling stations, and the polling stations are the same. So, for instance, if we were to do our nominations for Nairobi, the same, you know, schools that we'd use for those primaries, because we'd expect to do primaries in all the polling stations, or at least a big percentage, are the same ones that the other party would require to use. So you can't have them. And also, you know, the political, once you've mobilized politically, for instance, if my party is doing nominations and I'm going for governor, my opponents in the other party might want a weak candidate, and so they'll infiltrate. And so the registrar has not been able to give us an authentic list of party members. And that is why, since the advent of that office, we've not had political party primaries being done strictly based on the party register. Because the party should be able to tell us, in Kayole South, in this school, of the registered voters, these ones are the ones who are on the Jubilee party list, or the ODM, you know, register. And so those are the only ones who can participate. But it's everyone. So I can mobilize ODM people to come to my nomination, or the ODM person can mobilize Jubilee people to come to the nomination. So it's a mess. And unfortunately, I know in the Senate, the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee, we've asked the IBC to actually come and sit with us down to explain this roadmap and to agree on certain things. Unfortunately, not much has been done to make sure that we have that hygiene in party primaries. And so that's why you're seeing parties saying that they want to do delegates system for nomination. Others want to have interview. You saw Jubilee did interviews for Kiamba, because the veracity or the purity of a nomination process has been lost over time. So
why is UDA the hot cake right now? The defections, most of them covered, are going into that basket. Hemorrhaging is Jubilee and other parties. What do you attribute that to?
Because you see, UDA is from Jubilee. So you can't have people moving from, osmosis, you move from high concentration to low concentration. You can't have people moving from UDA to Jubilee, yeah, because it's the new thing. And there are people who think that there's fatigue within Jubilee, because I'm sure many of the defections, very few are from other parties outside Jubilee into UDA. It's within Jubilee. So I feel after 10 years, people have some fatigue. And what we expected to have been done within Jubilee is a revamp, re-energizing of the party. Maybe even some small, some rebrand. Because today, those who are going through issues will say, my issues are attributed to this party. And so there are those who are afraid of that tag. And there are things that we could have done. But I think the series of blunders that the Jubilee leadership has, taken part in, the mistakes that the party leadership have done are what have resulted into these defections. And there are many more to come that you'll see.
And to your point, Anne Waiguru, the governor, Kirinyaga County, early on had written and said that this party needs to revamp. There's a lot of work that needs to happen. Many members of parliament and others have called for, they call them PG, parliamentary group meetings. But the buck stops with the president. So in essence, as a party leader, would you say he's the reason we are seeing this, at least the fallout within Jubilee?
Of course, he can't absolve himself of it, because he's a party leader. But I said the leadership in its entirety, all of them. Yeah, there are things that Jubilee could have done. Jubilee has a lot of goodwill, by the way, deep down in people's hearts.
Does it? We've seen a lot of disciplinary action, Senator. That's what it has been known for in recent days.
There have been mistakes, but there's goodwill in the hearts of those who voted for it. There's what you expect Jubilee to do. Your family is your family. Even though your parents are acting as I know your children, you'll still have some goodwill. And I know if some things had been done, a few months back, or even now, there could be change.
Like what?
But I doubt there's the political capacity, the ability to actually rejig the party at this point.
Okay.
And so that's why there's a clamor to merge with other parties, and then now have something that looks new.
Yeah.
That's what's going on in Jubilee.
So we'll talk a little bit more about that, what you think could have been done to mitigate and avoid the situation that Jubilee finds itself in. You're watching Kivumbi 2022. We're taking a short break. We'll be right back with our conversation with Senator Johnson Sakaja. Please stay with us. Very warm welcome back to Kivumbi 2022. It's 9 months to go to the August 9th general election, and on this show every week since the 9th of August this year we have been covering various subjects that touch on the election cycle. Tonight our focus on party hopping. It's that season of defections. The most recent defection, if you like, from Jubilee to UDA, that of Kirinyaga Governor Anne Waiguru. She had earlier on warned of the issues going on in Jubilee, saying the party needed a revamp, needed a rethink and rejig. And it appears after waiting, she has decided that's not the party to go with into the next election. With me here in our newsroom is Johnson Sakaja. He's Senator Nairobi County, and I'm seeing a number of people, Senator, asking, ask the Senator plan zake za 2022. We'll get to that towards the end of this. But something that was interesting before the governor moved to UDA was this clip of her at some point in Kirinyaga asking the people, form Nigani, in essence. This is the party that you guys, that is resonating in this region, that is the one to go with into 2022. So is it the people that informed such moves at some time, qua ground between different, as they say? Or really, is it the politicians who will phrase it that way just to appear to be responding?
On that I don't agree.
To the folk, yeah.
You see, what we have is a shortage of leadership. We have a lot of representatives. So you elect somebody, I'm elected in Nairobi, and there's expectation that I should be the average, give the average view of those who I'm representing.
Yeah.
But leadership sometimes is, if you know what you're doing is right, and your conscience is clear, your mind is set, of course you've consulted, then you do it, even if you're alone. Then you go for it. And so I don't agree with the convenience. I agree with her right to move to any party where she says she has the chance to get elected, but not because you've had the people. The people could be wrong. That's why they're not the leader. You're the leader. Yeah? So as a leader, you're supposed to actually define reality. Yeah? Define the reality. See, what can be done. Are my people correct on this? Then I will follow. But as a leader, I should actually define a reality. And I think it's a noble thing for a leader to be willing to stand on their own. To stand on their own and to stand firm and say, look, and to explain to their people. Because if people have let you lead them, they've given you a position of trust. And a position of trust is one which you can actually convince people when they think they are right and you're wrong, and sit down and level and reason with them. So I think such decisions not necessarily, should not necessarily be founded on just what the people are generally saying. The people could be wrong. If all the people today say want to all jump from a cliff in Nairobi, should I now say, okay, guys, I'm going to lead that and I'm going to organize how we jump from the cliff? So if I see them going the wrong way, I will not necessarily follow. And I think it's what has become of our politics, that people believe once you're in it, you have to get your seat at whatever cost. Now, leadership of whatever cost, whatever it takes, then creates a very empty country. The people just want to be elected for the sake of that, for survival, or just so that I have a title. You don't have to. The people who are not elected, they're alive, but stand for something. Say, this is what I believe in. It may not be popular, but this is what I'm going to do. And I can come back again, or people will see that and support you. But this political convenience that just for me to get a seat, I must be yoked with someone I don't believe in, for instance, I think that's empty. There's a time this country had leaders, the Shikukus, the people who, even Jaramogi Odinga, who left government because he didn't believe in government. If those leaders, the Toboyas and the rest, were leaders of survival, then this country would never have any solid foundation in terms of what people believe in. It was convenient for people to accept what the Mzungu was saying, so that, and the former government, they said no. Even though it's convenient and the people want independence, as a leader, I believe I need to wait for President Kenyatta to be, Jomo Kenyatta to be released. There have been many times where people have resigned. Martha Karua left cabinet, a minister with a flag and all those parks because she didn't agree with how the government was running. So there's a lack of that principled type of leadership. And now all we want is just to survive. Or if I join Sophia's party, I'll be elected in Nairobi. I'll come jump into your party.
So you think that's suicidal for the governor, politically speaking, or is it just lack of principle to the point you just made?
It's not a political death. It's a death of principle, maybe. If the reason, and by the way, I must give a disclaimer, I have not discussed with her reasons. Okay. She could have the right reason. Maybe she phrased it wrongly, saying, that's where the people are, so I'll go to where the people are. But, if the people are wrong, then will you go to where the people are if they're wrong? And I'm not saying they're wrong or right. I think UDA has made serious inroads in Mount Kenya. And even in Nairobi, it has made serious inroads across the country. And so for survival, you would want to associate with a party that is popular. But I think there's a need for a higher level of political thinking and engagement. So that, we've made this seat so lucrative that you feel if you don't get it, then you're dead. And really, you cannot found a nation on that.
It's not a do-or-die issue.
It's a do-or-die issue, and that's why you see violence in campaigns. You see millions and billions now going to be spent on campaigns because it's do-or-die, it's winner takes all. If I don't get it, I'm done. We need to change that, I think, as a country. We need to make political seats very unattractive. So to get people who come in to serve, not to survive.
That's a tall order to make political seats in this country very unattractive.
Remove the salaries, first of all. Just let people serve. Those who want to serve, give us, don't make it so attractive that if I become this, my life changes, I'm powerful, I have 10 chase cars. No, then you forget serving the people. It becomes about you.
Grandiosity.
And where does the country go to then? And that's why people will do anything to get elected.
And spend a lot of money, because studies have showed recently that to run for office is a very expensive affair.
I wouldn't.
And once you get in there, then now you want to recoup all of the money that you've been spending.
I wouldn't do that. It's not, people have said to run in Nairobi for governor, for instance, you need $500 million. I don't think so. It's not necessary. It's a waste of money to spend such an amount to get elected. If the people know you and they have faith in you, no one gets elected because of money. People get elected because they have seen that this is a person who genuinely understands our issues, genuinely cares about us, and has the capacity to do something to change lives. Not because of how much money you want. If that was the case, the president would be who? Manu Chandari of Imalsha. If you look at the last election, Kidero versus Sonko, Sonko didn't have half the money that Kidero had, but he'd gotten a level of trust with the people. They said, you know what, we'll even contribute. Barack Obama was getting $2, $5 from the people. But we've made it so commercial that I fear that in the next parliament, we'll have a very, very poor caliber and quality of leaders, because we'll have people who just bought their way into office. And once they've bought their way, what's the first thing to do? Go to your accountant. How much did I spend? 100 million.
Yes.
How do I recover this? And that's all they do for 4 years. And when you call them to account, they'll say, Sophia, see, I bought my vote. What are you calling me for?
And people...
There's an emptiness, and this country is now, we're hurtling dangerously towards an abyss, a political abyss, where we don't have leaders who stand for anything, but who just want to conveniently hold positions of influence so that they can, change their own lives.
So Jubilee, as we said, right now is pretty much a shell, right? As a party.
Yeah, sadly. Yeah.
Is a shell. So even for you going forward, 2022, I imagine that's not where you intend to stay.
Ideally, I'd want to stay in my party because I see myself as a founding member, being founding chairman of TNA. We put in so much to build the party, but I will also make a decision.
Yeah, because as it stands, to the point we were making earlier, political parties largely in this country are around personalities. The president is exiting the scene. Many calls to have PGs or to rejig the party, rebranding, whatever, have not worked. Why? Because he probably doesn't care at this point for the party. I
don't know. The president is a political rock star, and he might shock many people. I really pity those who say that the president is a lame duck and is leaving and he'll have a lot of influence in the next election. He will not, and I doubt, and I hope he doesn't, and I've told him, please don't stand and say that this is the person you're supporting for presidency or not, because...
Hasn't he already?
No, not that I've had him saying.
Do you need to hear Sakaja to know that this is Sakaja in front of you?
We know who he doesn't want. We don't know who exactly he wants. That is what is clear.
Okay.
And so what happened is what happened in 2002. And he narrated this story to us, with a few leaders, including those who are vying. And he said, I will not ask you guys, I will not say who it is, because when Moi asked you people to choose, you said, yes, please choose for us. You choose for us. Ata mkia ni nyama. But when he was chosen, people fled. So he said he doesn't want to go through that again.
Yeah. And
I think ideally, you should play a role like what President Kibaki did. You can support someone, but covertly, not overtly. I think the president will still have influence. I think he will still have his political vehicle, one way or another, and will negotiate with whichever parties agree to come to the table with him. And for the rest of us, once that decision is made, we'll have to make this. We'll have to choose whether to stay in that formation or to go to another formation, and I will do it very publicly and loudly. So there's no need for speculation.
There'll be speculation.
I'll own it, and I will not say this is the. I'll give proper reason why I've made that decision. I've listened to Nairobians, I've listened to my advisors, I've listened to political leaders. I talked to all of them, fortunately, and I thank God that I have maintained a very good relationship with all of them.
Including the deputy president?
Yes, I talked to the deputy president, I talked to the president.
So UDA is on the table for you as well?
Anything is on the table. So long as, once the decision has been made, then we'll see what then makes sense for my next one. So what will
inform your decision? Because on one hand, here we were talking about, for the Governor Waigurush talked about the ground, the people want this. What is it that will inform your decision?
For me, number one will be a party that I'll be able to work with the leadership. Yeah? Because I'm running for governor of Nairobi. And to be governor of Nairobi, number one, to run this city, you need a very special and direct relationship with the national government. You cannot do it without that.
True. NMS has showed us that.
Yes, that's why the first county administration of Nairobi didn't work, because it was ODM and TNA, Governor Kidero. The second one, despite the goodwill, the relationship got sour. And so it didn't work, but you can see what NMS has been able to do. So, of course, the decision I will make sure that the party I'm in forms government, both at national level and Nairobi. Because I would not want it to be, the other way around, that I win and my candidate does not win. So that'd be the first thing. That one, it's a party that I know can form government, and we'll do everything we can do. And I will bring everything I can bring to the table to make sure it does. Number two, a party that listens to its people. Yeah? A party that listens to the leaders. A party that, I can bring ideas. And that's why we kept saying we want meetings. You don't have a situation where in a party you're told this is the party position, vote this way. This is the party position. And I say there's no party position. Because when we were in TNA, what we used to do in URP that time, if there's a debate, you'll call leaders, you'll call the members. You debate it, you agree. You can be convinced otherwise. But once you've agreed in that PG, then there's a party position, and you take collective responsibility. The party position is not the Secretary General's opinion, or the party leader's opinion for that matter, or the chairman's opinion, or the whip. It is collective. and then you agree to disagree. And that's why you can even abstain from a vote, because yes, the party has decided this, but I will not go against it, and I will leave this vote. So I want a party that wants to build such democratic ideals, and that has proper ideas for the city, and that can take my ideas for the city. That is what will inform the decision I make.
And if, for instance, you were to say stay with Jubilee, which is in talks with ODM to form some working coalition agreement going forward, the entry to the race, he announced the other day, the Westlands Member of Parliament, Nyonyi, right? And we saw Mama Ida in support and endorse. And her being who she is, of course, the wife of the former Prime Minister, who we expect is expected to run. Do you see that complicating your arithmetic?
Of course not. Whichever party I'll be in must be a party that I believe has the ideals of a free and fair nomination. Yeah. So if in case we're in that formation together, I'm confident we'll be able to have a free and fair nomination. If I'm in whichever party I'm in, I will not be afraid of nominations, because I know I've done my polling, I know how the city looks like, and I'm confident that I'll be able to succeed in any of those processes, whichever party it is. And
so for other candidates, those party primaries, when they happen and people don't have their way, then it gets to be about independent candidates. So pretty much what this conversation, they take out of it all when it comes to party hopping, is that it has been happening, it is here with us, and it is going to continue.
It is here with us, and I think after this election, yourselves, you have a big role, because parties aren't held to account. And I've said the most important part of a party is what happens between the elections, not during the election. And no one today can tell you what Jubilee has been doing, what ODM has been doing.
With our money.
With our money, it's taxpayers' money, what WIPA has been doing at a national scale. That the auditor can say, look, these are the actual activities, and not just a financial audit, but a value audit, value for money. What are your youth caucuses doing? What are your women groups doing? Are you doing aspirant trainings? Are you capturing, and something that we do with the Young Parliamentarians Association that I run, is we've looked for young people who want to get into politics, and we're telling them, this is how you go to the media, this is how you communicate, this is how you fundraise. That's what parties should be doing, because we're paying taxes, but parties are not doing that.
Yeah. So take out, finally, as we bring this to a close, we're talking about party hopping and defecting, moving from one as more and more parties continue to mushroom. You've mentioned the youth, and that's an important component, because it's a conversation we've had here before, but also that you're hearing more and more of them speak about not wanting to be involved, or these people don't really care about us. And yet, the political class, the messaging largely is being seen, everyone has a tilt that will resonate to the young people, whether it's in speech or in action, trying to appeal to them. But in getting those folks on board, that's proving to be the hard nut.
I think, look at it. IBC, they're projecting around 700 and something thousand, 750,000 in Nairobi to be registered. We've only hit 75,000, and this case is the same throughout the country. The target has not been met. It speaks to something. The apathy has been caused by a lack of inspiration to the young people. Because if between the last election and now, we have 5 million new IDs, and eligible voters, 5 to 7 million, and yet you've not even hit 10% of that target, it shows that we're not speaking to these people. And what that does then, that apathy, if kept inside, there's a restiveness. These young people are restive, they've given up on this politics, and if things go this way, it'll be very dangerous for our country. I think we need to see at those top platforms more inspiring messages. Everyone is talking about, we have narratives of doom, narratives of poverty. Who is talking about opportunities? Who is talking about hope? These are people who are aspirational, who want to be told that you can be something tomorrow. Who is talking about that? And I think it's a space that has been left empty. And that is why these young people will not get out of their houses or their comfort zones to go and register. But I will appeal to them, even those who are watching. Bad leaders are elected by good people who refuse to vote. So just register and make sure that you're not part of the good people who elect bad people by not going to vote. Get registered.
Well said, well said. Thank you very much, Senator Sakaja, for joining us here on Kivumbi 2022. Abstaining is also a decision, is what in essence the Senator is saying for those who are not registered to vote in the next general election. Thank you so much for staying with us. Kivumbi 2022 continues. Akisa and Ken are on standby to bring you the top stories tonight, and later on that conversation continues. Please do continue engaging with us online as well. We'll see you next time. I'm Sophia Wanuna.